Thank you, Faye. And just listen to the noise as Norwich City and Ipswich Town emerge from the tunnel here at Carrow Road. A stadium awash with colour, the canary yellow and green and the blue and white. This is always a big game, the first fans look for on the fixture list back in June, but the stakes have rarely been higher. Norwich need points for the playoffs. Ipswich's improbable tilt for the Premier League continues to career down football's fast lane. The championship is the gift which keeps on giving, and this has the makings of a wonderful occasion here today. A reminder of the two teams, one change apiece for Norwich. Shane Duffy replaces the injured Jakob Sørensen at the back. For Ipswich, Kiefer Moore is fit, but Caden Jackson is on the bench, and he is replaced by Nathan Broadhead. So the Norwich team is Angus Gunn in goal, Jack Stacey, Shane Duffy, Ben Gibson and Sam McCallum will be the back four. Kenny McLean and Marcelinho Nunez will hold in midfield, with Gabriel Sara, Ashley Barnes and Borja Sainz supporting Josh Sargent in attack. For Ipswich, Václav Hladký in goal, Axel Tuanzebe, Luke Wolfenden, Cameron Burgess and Leif Davis their back four. Massimo Luongo and Sam Morsey anchored their midfield. Nathan Broadhead, Connor Chaplin and Amari Hutchinson are behind Kiefer Moore in attack. Dean Aston, you won your one and only East Anglian derby for Norwich at Portman Road. They have a long, proud history against their biggest rivals, but surely for Ipswich, today has to be the day that comes to an end.
You would think so. The performance levels that they've produced over the last 2 years, they couldn't be in a better place to play this fixture, to come here to Carrow Road after an incredible confidence boosting win once again on Monday. They'll be so high after that, and then they come here with an unbelievable away record, the second best team in the division away from home against a Norwich side that have been so good here at Carrow Road. They've got to break that hoodoo that they've had since 2010. And I don't think they'll ever have a better chance with the players that they've got starting today.
15 years since Ipswich Town have beaten Norwich City in the East Anglian derby. 13 meetings, and they've not won here since February of 2006. The last Ipswich player to clinch victory here was Darren Bent back in March of 2003. That's how long ago it was. But the Norwich fans in great voice before kick-off. The Ipswich fans have their area of the South Stand opposite us. Two clubs, two cities, 40 miles apart, but they both have the same aim, the Premier League next season. And for that to be the case, this may not be the final East Anglian derby of the season. Big day for the referees as well, and Matt Donoghue is in charge.
Wouldn't it be ridiculous to see Norwich and Ipswich both in the playoffs?
Happened before.
That is a nightmare scenario, I'm sure, for so many Ipswich fans, which is why they'll feel like a victory today would give them that chance of really going up automatically and not having to even consider playing Norwich in the playoffs.
Ipswich in their pre-match huddle, away to our right-hand side, and it's Norwich City who will get the game underway on a bright and blustery day here now at Carrow Road. Lots of rubbish and balloons being blown around the playing surface. Now bright sunshine overhead once again, and it's the biggest game in these parts in any season, but particularly now. It is Norfolk against Suffolk, Norwich City against Ipswich Town, and it's live and exclusive on the home of the EFL, TalkSport 2. As Norwich come forward now with an early cross into the penalty area from Borja Sainz down the left-hand side, deflected behind by Axel Tuanzebe. It will be the game's first corner, and we will see what Norwich do here after their early goal from a set piece at Leicester, live on TalkSport 2 on Monday.
Yeah, two of the best sides in the division from set plays, Norwich and Ipswich, and these big games can always be decided on these.
Corner kick on the far side, drifted in by McLean towards the near post, drifted away by Hladký, comes out to Borja Sainz, who tries to strike it through the crowd, but as he's closed down he gets right underneath it, and that will be a goal kick. A reminder right at the start of play, the top of the table in the Sky Bet Championship. Ipswich on top with 87 points, Leeds in second with 86. Leicester with a game in hand have 85. Then there's a gap. Southampton with 2 games in hand have 74 points. West Brom 68, Norwich 64, and then just outside the playoffs, Coventry with a game in hand have 60. It is Coventry at home to Leeds today. That's a massive game you can follow on Game Day Live with Adrian Durham over on Talk Sport later on. And Birmingham will travel to Leicester. That's a big game at both ends of the table. That's another 3 o'clock start. And Blackburn will welcome Southampton. And Stoke will play West Bromwich Albion. Those all the big games at the top and bottom of the table, really. And of course, the first issue in the Championship was decided last night. Rotherham's long-awaited relegation confirmed after that home defeat to Plymouth. But a big result for the Devonians as they fight relegation in their first season back in the Championship. 2 minutes played here. Norwich 0, Ipswich 0. Morsey with a long diagonal ball forward, wide to this near side, the left, looking for Leif Davis. Ipswich attacking the Bartley end in the first half. Davis goes down under the challenge on this near side of Jack Stacey, but no free kick given, and it will be a throw into Norwich City by the corner flag just in front of us.
Well, that's a big feature of Ipswich's play, that ball into the feet of Morsey. He gets on the half term and he sprays that crossfield pass to Leif Davis, as they did for the winner on Monday night.
Now Stacey has lost the ball. Here is more for Ipswich on this near side. Went off with a back spasm against Southampton. Hasn't trained too much before this game. Maybe some kidology from Kieran McKenna, but he's in the starting lineup. Leif Davis now lifting a high cross into the penalty area, headed away by McCallum at the back post, and it's brought away by Nunez. Finding Sarah. A good ball inside to Ashley Barnes, quickly challenged though by Morsey. The Ipswich captain comes away with the ball, wide to Hutchinson. Down the far side, the right, he will try to attack the penalty area here towards the byline. The cross is blocked by McCallum, hooked into the penalty area and headed away by Duffy. And Norwich in their canary yellow and green will bring it forward now. Sargent tumbles on the halfway line, tangling with Burgess. The referee again has a look and says no free kick.
Well, the referee needed some help there from his assistant on that side. Sargent is fuming. He feels like he was away from Burgess there on the counter-attack.
Now Hutchinson down the right, a low cross into the penalty area, deflected behind at the near post by Gibson, and it will be Ipswich's first corner with 3 minutes played here on Talk Sport 2, and it's Norwich 0, Ipswich 0 in the East Anglian derby.
Yeah, and he certainly has a point. It was a really good spinning run from Josh Sargent. It looked like he was going to get away from Burgess. Burgess just pulled him back a fraction by his shirt. Wasn't seen by the referee or his assistant.
Over on TalkSport, Palace lead Manchester City early on in our Premier League commentary. Jean-Philippe Mateta with a shock early goal at Selhurst Park. Morsey with the cross in here. High towards the far post. Broadhead was waiting for it, but a free kick's been given for some pushing inside the area, and it will be a free kick to Norwich.
Terrific start to the game. Tempo has matched the noise levels in the stands. Sam Morsey, what a brilliant start already. 2 fantastic interceptions to set Ipswich away. I do like Gabriel Sara playing in a more advanced role the last 5 or 6 games.
Now Ashley Barnes, 3 promotions from this level with Burnley, and he comes forward now on this near side again, drives a high ball towards the far post. It's a good one, and he's found Sainz. Sainz will take on Twanzebe again. It's pulled back towards the edge of the penalty area, and Nunez. Now Kenny McLean, who has been featuring as a central defender this season, but back in midfield now, and a high ball in. Ashley Barnes tangles with Wolfenden inside the penalty area, and in the end the free kick has been given to Ipswich.
Yeah, I think just ball in. Ashley Barnes looking to make himself a nuisance.
It was Davis he caught.
It was Leif Davis. It was just a stray arm, to be honest. I don't think there was any intent. I know it's Ashley Barnes, but there wasn't. It was more a case of he was just turning to try and get the ball on the other opposite side.
Are you suggesting that Ashley Barnes' reputation may precede him?
It's because he's grown that reputation. That's why.
Free kick here for Ipswich, and players from both sides are wiring into the challenges early on here. Bright sunny day once again here at Carrow Road now. And there is a bank of blue and white in the south stand on the far side, but the rest of the stadium is all canary yellow and green, and everybody has come out in their colours for this game here today. A reminder, Palace leading City over on TalkSport. Commentary continues with Sam Matterface and Scott Minto. Download the TalkSport app and you can swipe between the two games. Game day live from 2:30 on TalkSport with Adrian Durham. All the goals as they go in. Villa against Brentford here on TalkSport 2 with Ian Dancer and Perry Groves. A low cross in on this near side from Stacey for Norwich is swept away up towards the halfway line. Kiefer Moore will jump with Duffy, and he's done well to keep the ball in play. A crossfield ball from him, looking for Hutchinson on the far side, the right, but it's overhit. Moore shows his frustration just in front of us, and Norwich will have a throw-in with 7 minutes played here on TalkSport 2, and it's still goalless.
Just got ahead of himself there, Kiefer Moore did brilliantly to keep it in on this near side, and then check back and just give it to your midfield player. Just give it simple. Instead he tries to play the crossfield pass to Hutchinson and puts it straight out of play. You've done the hard work there, just keep it simple.
Coming up tomorrow, the Sunday session with Sam Matterface. We'll have all the action on TalkSport from 1:30 here on TalkSport 2. 4:30 start at Wembley, the Bristol Street Motors final between Peterborough and Wickham. As Stacey comes forward now, the cross into the penalty area towards the near post, and Václav Hladký just had to readjust and make the claim. And we have a Peterborough fan presenting tomorrow at Wembley, Adrian Durham, and a Wickham fan, Joe Shannon, on commentary duty alongside Adrian Clark, and I'll be at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with Scott Minto for the 6 o'clock kick-off in the Premier League, rearranged due to the rail strike. Big game as well at both ends, Spurs against Forest. A reminder, that is 6 o'clock tomorrow night on TalkSport, as Chaplin goes down under the challenge of McLean, and then tumbling into the challenge was Morsey on Sargent, but no free kick given as Sara brings the ball away. Then Sara smashes into the body of Luongo, who was on the ground inside the centre circle, and the free kick has been given to Ipswich, and already Matt Donoghue, the referee, is not getting too much help from either side.
Oh, it's frantic in the middle of the pitch, that's for sure. You've got Morsey, Luongo and Chaplin for Ipswich, and you've got the four actually of McLean, Nunez, Barnes and Sara, all in the middle of the pitch, tussling for the ball. All the spaces out wide.
Burgess plays it square towards Wolfenden, Ipswich-born central defender for his hometown club on the far side. Now Morsey drills a pass wide to this near side, and Davis, who scored a spectacular early goal against Southampton on Monday, but now he's given the ball away. And here is Sargent coming forward for Norwich, wide towards Stacey, down the right-hand side, low ball across the face of the penalty area. Wasn't the right option beyond both Barnes and Sargent, and it's behind for a goal kick with 9 minutes played, and it's still goalless here in the East Anglian derby on TalkSport 2.
Well, it started off with a terrific tackle from Stacey. Leif Davis, whose poor touch just got away from him, and then it was a real chance for Norwich really on the break. They made a mess of it. Sargent took too long to play that ball to Stacey, and then Stacey took the shot on when clearly a ball in towards Barnes would have been the better option.
Norwich unbeaten in 13 meetings since John Stead scored the winner at Portman Road for Ipswich back in April of 2009, and it was a Gary Doherty own goal. The last time Ipswich won here in February of 2006. Sara with a cross into the area, headed away at the near post by Wolfenden. Now Nunez square towards McLean, who has been promoted twice here under Daniel Farke, who of course will be looking to possibly deny Ipswich promotion this season with Leeds United. And we have all the angles covered at both ends of the Championship and beyond in the EFL and the Premier League in the closing weeks of the season on the TalkSport network. If you download the app, go to the live game section, and you can then choose your commentary and at times swipe between the stations. When we have games across the network, as we do now, as it's given away by Duffy. Luongo there was fouled as he tried to bring the ball clear from Sara, and it will be a free kick for Ipswich midway inside the Norwich half. And Luongo just having words there with Matt Donoghue, and Sarah having words with Duffy, I think, complaining about the ball to him originally.
I think so, but how is that not a yellow card? I mean, it was a poor pass, and Luongo got there in front. He was then through onto a counter-attack. Sarah just clipped him and brought him down, and Kieran McKenna's on the side turning to the fourth official just saying, how on earth, no matter whether it's a derby or not, can you allow that to go without a yellow card? Very fortunate, Gabriel Sarra.
He's setting an interesting precedent so far, the referee, let's say. We will see what happens the longer it goes on. Free kick, Leif Davis is over it. 19 assists for him so far this season. It swung in, and diving in to head the ball away was McLean on the edge of the penalty area, and it will be a throw-in on this near side. Boost for Connor Chaplin just in front of the Norwich supporters in the main stand here, but he leaves it for Leif Davis. And we heard at length from Kenny McLean live on TalkSport after the win here against Plymouth on Friday, Good Friday. And although the next game was Leicester, you could sense the excitement in his voice talking about this game.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he's got plenty of experience now, hasn't he, here at Norwich.
Davis with a long throw in towards the near post, looking for Kiefer Moore, who claims he was pushed by Stacey, but he was never going to get a free kick in that sort of position. A long ball cleared downfield by Norwich, nodded clear by Wolfenden, and it will be a throw in for the Canaries on the halfway line. And it's all very tight, all very intimate down there. Not too much room between the two technical areas, and Kieran McKenna and David Wagner are already out. I remember the last East Anglian derby here back in February of 2019, and there was a fight between Daniel Farker and Paul Lambert. Ipswich were losing and going down to League One, and I think Paul Lambert tried to make the game memorable.
I mean, there's always that tension, isn't there? Even the quietest of managers sometimes can get embroiled in something, but it's been tight between the two sides, especially in the middle of the park. Yet to really see a genuine chance being created, though.
Now Broadhead on this near side. Kevin De Bruyne has equalised for Manchester City at Crystal Palace. Live on TalkSport. 1-1 there as Stacey's ball in field looking for Nunez is quickly cut out, and Ipswich will try and counter-attack with Morsey. Lifted over the top towards the left, but asking far too much of Broadhead, and it bobbles behind, and it will be a goal kick. With 13 minutes played here on TalkSport 2, Norwich 0, Ipswich 0, in the sunshine at Carrow Road. It's that sort of end-of-season weather here, which really just gives you the backdrop for an afternoon of real tension. As the temperature begins to rise, so too does the importance of the games up and down the leagues, as it's Angus Gunn who played it wide to this near side, looking for Duffy. Duffy tries to find Sarah. Kieran McKenna convinced the ball went out of play on this near side, but nothing given by the assistant Paul Hodgkinson. And Norwich now do well to keep it in play on the far side. Sam McCallum and Gabriel Sarra out there down on the left. And you're listening to Norwich against Ipswich in the EFL Championship on TalkSport 2 with McDonald's. Order McDelivery on the McDonald's app and get tasty reward points. 18 plus, terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, Boyer Science on that far side. He seems to get better and better with every game. He's made a really bright start on that left-hand side. He tends to give them width over on that side, and then Barnes and Sarra tend to take up a position just more on the right-hand side and allow Stacey the genuine width on the right.
And all of Gabriel Sarra's goals this season have come in a rush at this stage of the season. All the Borja Sainz's have been here at Carrow Road in the league at least, and Sainz was making the move forward there, but McCallum can't find him down the left. Chaplin looks to spin away from the challenge of McLean, and then Broadhead is being clipped by Nunez inside the centre circle, and it's another free kick, but sooner or later the referee's going to have to take some control.
But that is the only issue, is then you've pretty much got to let everything go. And then you would have other teams around the leagues going, well, hang on, I've had a yellow card for that, or I've ended up being sent off because of something like that. I think you've just got to be consistent. If it is a yellow card, you've got to give it. That's two lucky challenges now for Norwich City players.
Ipswich 9 wins in 10 after a run of only 1 win in 9, but Norwich 12 matches unbeaten here. They were 17th when they lost to Blackburn in early November, but it's 10 wins and 2 draws since. But as we said before kick-off, they are really living off their home form. 44 of their 64 points have come here at Carrow Road. As McLean comes forward now, breaks into the penalty area, but it's blocked by Wolfenden, and Chaplin will bring the ball clear, finding Twanzebe. And now wide to the far side, and Hutchinson, the youngster on loan from Chelsea, has done well to link up with Twanzebe. Forward now to Kiefer Moore, who flicks the ball on, but there was no one running in behind, and it's gathered by Nunez on the halfway line.
I'm pretty sure actually Gibson and Duffy, they'd have been pleased to see Kiefer Moore's name on the team sheet. I think they would prefer that aerial challenge than maybe that extra little bit of pace in behind that Al-Hamadi does bring to this Ipswich side, but he's obviously fit and starts, and so far Duffy and Gibson have got the upper hand.
But Ipswich have scored 23 goals from subs this season, including 2 to come from behind to beat Southampton live on TalkSport on Monday. As Luongo comes forward now. Al-Hamadi's not started a game yet, but he's still scored 4 goals. Hutchinson down the right-hand side, cuts in field towards the edge of the penalty area, had support from Luongo, but the ball back was cut out by McLean, but Twanzebe working hard. Rob Sainz in front of those Ipswich supporters, but the ball back to him was overhit, and it will hit the corner flag on the far side and go behind for a goal kick.
That's the only issue Sainz will have over on that side. If he gets into a battle with Twanzebe, then he'll get beat physically, beaten for pace, so he's got to be clever with his movement over on that side. I think he's got to drift in at times or stay really wide, otherwise Twanzebe will just get the upper hand against him.
Now Sarah having a shirt pulled by Luongo just in front of us. And again, the referee, well, he's not penalised earlier fouls with yellow cards. We don't want yellow cards all over the place, but really these are the sorts of challenges which do ordinarily earn yellow cards.
Yeah, absolutely they do. It's clear. Again, for Broadhead against Sarah, just pulls his shirt, stops him having that counter-attack. It is a yellow card. And you can just see the referee look over as if to say, well, I can't give that one because I haven't given the others.
And now it's been given away by Norwich in another dangerous area. Here is Hutchinson, midway inside the Canaries, half wide on the far side. He's got Twanzebe on the overlap. Sainz will come back and track his run. Back towards Hutchinson again. And once again, Ipswich rather laboured in this sort of area as they try to create the opening. Twanzebe holds his run down the right to stay onside, and eventually Morsey will go all the way back to Wolfenden, who is beckoning players towards him to offer him the option or more movement. Now Burgess finding Davis, and there is so much pointing and gesticulating from both coaching teams inside the technical areas, and they are all very close together down there as Twanzebe gathers again on the far side, and it's played back by Luongo towards Wolfenden, and players like Luongo and Morsey do give this team a really experienced core. Kiefer Moore, of course, has done the promotion course at this level as well with Bournemouth a couple of years ago, and now Twanzebe has been fouled by Barnes, and it's a free kick for Ipswich on the halfway line.
What Norwich have done since that home game against Blackburn is they have unapologetically sat deep when they need to, in a really organised structure. Both the centre-forward splits, a 4-4-2 out of possession, but really tight, make it difficult for Ipswich to try and play through, and then force it, as they have done just there, and it goes out of play. That has been the big change, that they're happy to sit in very, very deep and defend, knowing they've got that pace on the counter-attack if they need it.
Ipswich have an excellent away record, 11 wins, 5 draws and 4 defeats, but only a third of their goals have been scored away from home. 28 on the road, 56 at Portman Road, which is incredible. Because they set that sort of pace in League One last season, and they came up and you thought, well, they can't do that again, and they have.
Yeah, the fact that they've been able to just step right up and keep delivering on such a consistent basis says everything, and the manager's stock just keeps on rising, doesn't it, Kieran McKenna?
20 minutes played, 0-0, but the Ipswich fans in good voice on the far side as their team try and build. Morsey, infield again to Burgess. Not a huge amount of width for them on this near side. Broadhead has come in field again, and now Davis will belatedly pull further wide, but not before it's back to Hladky, the goalkeeper. 13 clean sheets for him so far this season. He now looks to release Davis with the ball in behind Stacey down the left-hand side, and Davis will get there first, and Stacey has to recover at the expense of a corner kick for Ipswich.
Yeah, he's got to be more switched on there, Stacey. That they're looking for that, whether it's Morsey or whether it's Hladky. They're looking for that ball over the top into Leif Davis, who drives forward from that left-back area.
Davis will take the corner kick. The Norwich fans all around him suggesting the ball may not be in the quadrant. It's blowing around at pitch level as well. It's really blustery. We can see the corner flag being buffeted by the wind just in front of us. Hutchinson comes short, but Davis, I think, will look to float this ball into the penalty area. It will be an outswinger with the left foot, driven in, and then arriving at the near post was Burgess, and the header loops over the top.
Yeah, he got there first, though, didn't he, Burgess? I think he just wasn't physically set in a position, just falling down towards the ball, and couldn't twist his neck to get that on target. He goes up and over the top, but once again, fantastic delivery from Davis.
Dean Ashton with us here on TalkSport 2. Won his only East Anglian derby back in 2005, as there's another aerial duel on the far side, and there is an apology from Chaplin as he seemed to catch McLean.
The one thing I would say, again, from the referee's perspective, is what you actually do is, I think you harm the game more in this way when you haven't given it, because players then think, I can get away with a shirt pull. I can get away with just, clipping someone's heels when they're getting up, and that
can get away with a stray arm.
And that just then breaks up the play. It stops any momentum within the game. So actually, I think it's harmed the game. It felt very similar with the Manchester City Arsenal game as well.
Now Barnes on the far side for Norwich. We have played 23 minutes here on TalkSport 2, and it's still Norwich 0, Ipswich 0. Ipswich starting this game a point clear of Leeds. Leicester 2 points behind them with a game in hand, which is effectively against Southampton, as Broadhead looks to wriggle away from the challenge in front of us, but he was just caught by Barnes, who comes away from that challenge limping, and it will be a free kick for Ipswich just outside their own penalty area.
Yeah, just possibly rolled his ankle a little bit there, Barnes. He's up and okay, but again, Stacey there, just a little shirt pull. Pretty much knows he can get away with it.
Ipswich have 26 wins, and that's the most from a newly promoted team in the Championship since Southampton, when they did back-to-back promotions under Nigel Adkins in 2012, and also Manchester City under Kevin Keegan in the year 2000. And no team with 27 wins has failed to get promotion since the year 2000, and only one team with 26 wins has not gone up, and that was Reading in 2017. So somebody is going to break a record, you feel, this season.
Yeah.
Bound to.
Yeah, it's obscene, really, when you think about it, the three teams and the consistency they've been able to produce.
They're going to feel like Andy Murray. Think how many Grand Slams he'd have won if he hadn't been against Federer and Nadal throughout his career.
Yeah.
just around at the wrong time.
Maybe more Tim Henman.
Throwing on this near side for Norwich City. And it's short towards Nunez on the right corner of the penalty area. Back again to Duffy. And Gibson will go square towards McCallum. Solid challenge coming in though from Hutchinson, but Sainz was alive to the situation, and he hairs back to win it back for Norwich with 25 minutes played here. Still goalless in the East Anglian derby on TalkSport 2. And we talk about Ipswich, of course. Norwich currently 4 points behind West Brom, but maybe more importantly 4 points ahead of Coventry, who do have a game in hand and also have an FA Cup semi-final to look forward to as well. They're playing Leeds today, and they've still got to play Southampton away. That's on Tuesday, and they've also got home games against Hull and Ipswich. And they could be the kingmakers in many ways for everybody else in the top six. Now Sara on this near side. You could hear the thwack of boot on ball there as Ipswich won it back. Broadhead though unable to bring it forward, and
I think it says everything about the game that we've not spoken about the forward players at all, have we? We haven't mentioned them in any sort of context of a chance either side. It's been so tightly contested.
Well, possession is marginally in Ipswich's favour so far, 53%. They've both had a shot each, and neither have been on target. And that really says it all. There's been so much intensity, so much adrenaline pumping through the game so far that neither side has really been able to create too much. 26 minutes played, 0-0 as a result of that. Still Palace 1, Manchester City 1 over on TalkSport in our Premier League commentary. And if you download the app, you can swipe between the two games. Now Sarah, forward again towards McLean, who was fouled by Morsey. And it will be a free kick for Norwich in a central area, about 30 yards out.
Yeah, lovely fizzed pass into McLean, who took a great little touch with the outside of his foot, just away from Morsey, who couldn't help but bring him down, to be honest, because the touch was so good. And it's a fair old distance out, but Gabriel Sara has got one magnificent left foot, and Nunez as well has already shown in a Norwich shirt that he can score free kicks from fair way out.
27 minutes played, 0-0, but there's a decent area for Gabriel Sara. Scored from about 6 inches on Monday live on TalkSport 2 at Leicester, but a good deal further out here. Ipswich have every single blue and white shirt back defending.
I mean, he hit a ridiculous one against Rotherham that hit the joint of post and bar from around the same range.
And the Brazilian looking to provide a typically Brazilian free kick here. And Norwich are taking their time. But it's Sara who curls it over the wall. And it's over the angle as well.
Yeah, it was slightly predictable in the end from Sara going the goalkeeper's side. Well, if the goalkeeper doesn't move at all, then they'll just see it all the way, and it was a good 10 yards wide. And we're still waiting for that genuine chance or for either goalkeeper to get a bit of mud on their gloves.
But Ipswich have scored in 51 of their last 55 games, so considering their goal difference is vastly inferior to the two teams around them at the moment, Leeds and Leicester, you would imagine goals at both ends here at some stage.
Well, and of course both managers will be ready to change, but so far you can tell with the way both teams are set up, they are very cagey because of the nature of the game.
Grey skies overhead once again. The sun has just dipped away for now as Twanzebe looks to bring it forward for Ipswich on the far side, but it's back in field to Wolfenden. Broadhead, Davis is in space down the left, but Broadhead does well to ride the challenge of Duffy, who could be out of position now. Broadhead comes in field, he's got support from Luongo. Good recovery challenge though from McLean, and Norwich can counter-attack, slip through by Barnes, and here is Sargent away for Norwich into the penalty area. The challenge comes in from Twanzebe, and a free kick's been given for Norwich just outside the penalty area. And what will the referee do here? Were there covering defenders, Axel Twanzebe could be in trouble here.
Well, surely the referee has to make some sort of decision with a card from his pocket for this one. I mean, it's pretty much Sargent against Twanzebe heading towards the penalty area. I think he's got the decision right. He looks across to his assistant. I think it was just outside the area. But ultimately, if he thinks it's a foul, you would expect him to be pretty much last man, unless Wolfenden is just getting across on the cover.
Well, we are yet to see a card of any colour.
It was really good play though from Norwich. It was Barnes just almost instinctively knew that his strike partner was going to spin him behind.
Twanzebe is being called across towards the referee, and it's the game's first yellow card.
Well, he could not bring out a card from his pocket. Donahue, the referee. It's a really tight call as to whether Wolfenden is on the cover. I think you could say either way, to be honest.
Well, there may have been a question of offside against Sargent, but it was a very tight one because he was close to the halfway line. But once he was away, he was motoring towards the penalty area. Tuanzebe did well, in fact, to get across and eat off the ground.
Anybody else, I think if it would have been Wolfenden or Burgess or I think Sargent's away and he's not getting caught, but Tuanzebe's got that extra acceleration to get across.
But it's a free kick. Half a yard outside the penalty area here. Nunez and Sara are over it for Norwich. The Chilean and the Brazilian. And will we see some South American brilliance here in the East Anglian derby? Once again, the wall has been pulled back a long way, just outside the 6-yard area. That's how close it is.
I mean, from our angle, there is a little gap just to the left of Tuanzebe. Nunez wanted to just bend it round him. From this angle, it looks like there's a little gap.
There's an inviting gap as well, left by the goalkeeper, Kladky. He now retreats to the other side of his goal. But it's Nunez who drives it. They went for that gap at the near post. The wall leapt, but it just caught the studs of an Ipswich player on the way through, and it will be a corner kick.
Went for the one under the wall, didn't it, Nunez?
And there was no draft exclusion.
There wasn't. And it just about skimmed the studs of one of the players in the wall just to take it wide. It was clever from Nunez.
Sara will take it. And there is plenty going on inside that penalty area, so Matt Donoghue just having words. So Axel Tuanzebe, the first yellow card here today. And we have played 32 minutes. Sara with the corner, played short towards the edge of the penalty area. Nunez through the crowd, but it was blocked. Hooked away by Chaplin. I'm sure Kieran McKenna has got his team wise to Norwich set pieces after what happened against Leicester on Monday.
You would think. That was clever though, again. A little ball along the floor to the edge of the area. Just missed the Ipswich defender. Nunez, I think, was sort of stretching onto it. Didn't really get a good connection to it. It's just been a good period for the last 5 or 10 minutes for Norwich. Ipswich were on top for the 10 minutes before that.
Nunez, very deep here for Norwich, midway inside the Canaries' half. 33 minutes played here on TalkSport 2. Still goalless, still Palace 1, Manchester City 1 over on TalkSport in the Premier League. And we have Villa against Brentford coming up from the Premier League at 3 o'clock here on TalkSport 2. And tomorrow it is the Bristol Street Motors final, Peterborough against Wycombe from Wembley. And over on TalkSport after the Sunday session, Forest travelling to Spurs at 6 o'clock. Sara tumbles under the challenge of Luongo on this near side, but Norwich have a throw-in once again. And as we were saying at the start of this game, this could be a dress rehearsal for the playoffs. So Sargent goes down on the edge of the penalty area, and this time it was Luke Wolfenden who caught him on the right corner of the box, and it's another free kick here for Norwich.
Just too eager to try and win that ball in front of Josh Sargent, who was strong enough just to roll Burgess, who then grabbed him by the neck to pull him back. Doesn't need to try and win that. He just needs to stand his ground. Sargent going nowhere. I guess a bit of eagerness.
Well, Josh Sargent has scored in 9 home games in a row, either side of an injury which really left Norwich with a striking problem at a key part of the season. But since his return, Norwich have shot up the table. 14 goals in only 20 games, and when he's played, he's only failed to score in 2 home games this season here at Carrow Road, and the last league game was on the opening day of the season. Free kick, Sara is over it, whips it in towards the near post, headed away well by Luongo, and it will be another Norwich corner on this near side there right.
Really good header that from Luongo. Just got himself into a position kind of just in front of the goalkeeper as that was flashed in from Gabriel Sara.
Norwich attacking the river end as the corner is headed away by the giant figure of Kiefer Moore at the near post. Back out wide towards the corner taker Sara. He will come in field up towards the edge of the penalty area. Slipped in field towards McLean, who turns low and drives it in towards that near post. But it strikes Kiefer Moore, still back defending, and it's another Norwich corner.
Really clever pass that from Sara. Went as if he was going to cross it with his left foot and just reversed it into Kenny McLean's feet, and he just snatched a little bit of the ball across.
9 minutes to play in the first half. A corner's deeper this time, fisted away by Gladkey. Volley towards goal at the far post from Sainz, and it was blocked at the near post. But Norwich will try and keep the pressure on. Nunez with a high hanging ball towards the edge of the penalty area, and it's headed away by Davis and then high into the air by Chaplin, who we've barely seen for Ipswich so far, and that really tells you how the game has been going.
Yeah, certainly. Conor Chaplin having to do his defensive work at the moment. Norwich City just on top. It was a good goalkeeping in the end. He had to fight a player off and then pat it away.
Now Sargent turns away from Morsey on the edge of the penalty area, beginning to cause problems, and in the end he's been fouled by a combination of Morsey and Luongo, and it's another Norwich free kick here, this more central, and once again about 30 yards out.
Just need a tiny bit more discipline, Ipswich. They're in great positions. Defensively, they're very well organised. It's just then that eagerness to try and win the ball when it maybe isn't there to win it, and they're just giving now 4, 5, 6 free kicks away on the trot in dangerous positions.
And once again, it is the South American duo, Nunez and Sara, who are over the free kick as Gladkey looks to sort out his wall. And Gladkey was probably going to be the backup goalkeeper this season, but Christian Walton was injured in pre-season and Gladkey's been there ever since. And he could be in the Premier League next season. Fired in though, and it's off the inside of the post and it's in! And Barcelona Nunez has scored the opening goal for Norwich City in the East Anglian derby. It was a free kick which moved all over the place, bounced just in front of the goalkeeper and went in off the near post. And Ipswich Town's promotion hopes suffer a real blow against their biggest rivals. It is Norwich 1, Ipswich 0.
Well, he's totally deceived, Gladkey, in the Ipswich goal. He ambled towards this. It was so straight on towards the Ipswich goal, 35 yards out. He's ambled up to it, Marcelino Nunez, but he's just hit it with such venom, and it's just dipped away with an arc on the ball. The outside of his right foot just fizzes away from Gladkey. He will be disappointed, of course he will, from that distance, not to have got a firmer hand on it. The left hand got a touch, but it kissed the inside of the post and it was in.
And again, Ipswich must come from behind, and they've done this a lot recently. Norwich lead by a goal to 0. Hutchinson tried to cross in from the right hand side, but it's blocked. He whips a second cross in, headed away at the near post by Nunez. Only his second goal of the season. He provided the assist for the Sara goal from the corner at Leicester on Monday, and he scored here today. And Ipswich, who have taken 31 points from losing positions this season, will have to do it all again.
Ultimately, the blame will go towards the Ipswich goalkeeper because of the distance from goal, because the fact he wasn't really unsighted. It's not like it's come from behind a crowd of players. He's seen it most of the way. It's just the fact that it veers away with the way that Nunez has hit it with that outside of the foot, that it's gone away from the goalkeeper and it's bounced in front of him, which does make it more difficult, but still he should be saving it.
He had a long time to see it, but it just bounced up in front of him. But even so, you can see him chastising himself at the other end here as Ipswich try and attack with a throw-in on this near side. But Carrow Road, the home fans in great voice at the moment. Davis with the long throw towards the near post. It's flicked on, but it's claimed by Angus Gunn. And it was a good leap from Burgess at the near post, but Gunn was always right behind it.
Well, the one thing you would say about Ipswich is they've been in this position so often. They're not going to panic all of a sudden. They know they've got the quality to get back into games. But it's been a poor 15 minutes or so for them in the game.
Now Sargent has been pushed by Burgess at the other end, and Burgess made absolutely sure the referee saw that, and it will be a free kick here for Ipswich on the edge of their own penalty area. 4 minutes to play in the first half here on TalkSport 2, and it's Norwich 1, Ipswich 0. Now Wilkenden, wide to this near side, and Burgess again. Into Kiefer Moore, has done well. He was taken late, Kiefer Moore, but it's wide towards Davis. Davis drives a crossfield ball to find Hutchinson. Inside the penalty area down the right. Chaplin just pulls back into a pocket of space. It's laid back towards Morsey. Morsey now could find Twanzebe to the right, but instead goes to the left and finds Kiefer Moore, who brings it down. The shot, though, was blocked, and it will spin behind for a corner kick.
What a delightful ball that was from Leif Davis from this left-hand side. We had the perfect view. We were right behind it. And he just drilled it like a plane taking off. It just started low and just rose over towards Hutchinson, who took a wonderful touch. Then got recycled to Moore, who a bit greedy, as us centre-forwards tend to be, with the turn, swivel and shot.
Well, he scored 6 times since arriving on loan at Portman Road. Davis with the corner, headed away at the near post by Sara, back towards Davis again, and the cross has far too much air on it, and it was a simple claim for Angus Gunn.
Yeah, just the angle that came back towards Davis was too straight. He then couldn't manoeuvre his body to get a decent cross in and floated it up in the air.
Well, he scored from a similar sort of position against Southampton on Monday.
Yeah, he did. It was a brilliant strike.
Well, the Norwich fans exultant at the moment. Their team leading by a goal to nil with just over 2 minutes of normal time to play in the first half here. Flicked on by Luongo. Now Broadhead tussling with Nunez, the goal scorer, and Sara will go all the way back towards Angus Gunn again. Of course, his dad played in East Anglian derbies, and he's remembered for an error which once gifted Ipswich a victory.
I think he blames Mike Milligan is the line he likes to use. I know that.
Other people may have a different.
Yeah, I'm sure Mike does.
Throwing to Norwich on the far side, just in front of those Ipswich fans who look rather glum at the moment. They've got that familiar sinking feeling at Carrow Road. 90 seconds before half-time, trailing by a goal to nil. Headed down by Luongo. Now Morsey involved on the far side. Now Twanzebe, and Norwich are making Ipswich hurry here in this sort of position, and they've given the ball away again, and then Hutchinson with the foul on McLean, and it will be a free kick for Norwich.
They've just flooded the middle of the park, haven't they, Norwich, with McLean, Nunez, Barnes and Sara in particular, all very tight in the middle there, that every single pass that Ipswich try and make into the middle of the pitch, and especially into Connor Chaplin, is just being pressurised so much, and all it takes then is a little touch on any pass, and it just delays the attack that 1 second more. They've got to try and use the whip a little bit more, Ipswich, when they can.
Gunn will take the free kick. Swirls it high, and it's headed back by Twanzebe towards the Norwich half. Duffy was underneath that, a player promoted with Brighton back in 2017. And really, he's a player lacking match fitness, but Ipswich haven't really tested him so far, as McCallum goes down on the far side, doesn't get a free kick, and McCallum, as a result, is out of position. And here is Hutchinson coming forward now down the right-hand side. Sainz tries to come back and make the challenge. Hutchinson then goes down inside the penalty area, but the penalty appeals are waved away, and there'll be a minimum of 2 minutes.
I think he thought the challenge was coming from Sainz, and in the end it didn't. Just tried to win the penalty there, Hutchinson, rather than try and carry on and get the cross in.
Gathered by Stacey on this near side, and back again to Duffy, and all the way back to Gunn, who has not really had too much to do so far. Claimed a couple of crosses and a backheader, and that's about it. And that will be a disappointment for Kieran McKenna, but if we've learned one thing from this incredible championship season, it is that Ipswich do have the capability of changing and also finding a way. Duffy, challenged by Morsey, and it's hammered away. Long downfield by Gibson again, and it will be Twanzebe who gathers for Ipswich. Of course, they were 2-1 down to Southampton at half-time on Monday night, live on TalkSport, and came back to win dramatically right at the end. Although they were probably not the better team overall, they've not been the better team overall here so far, and they deserve to be behind.
I said on Monday I thought it was probably Southampton's best half of football. They were absolutely terrific, but Ipswich know how to hang in there. There's only a goal in this, as there was the other day. They know how to hang into games, and as you spoke about, the substitutions have made just a massive difference for Ipswich this season. So if and when the time needs to come that Kieran McKenna will make a change, I'm pretty sure he'll be pleased to get his team in at half time, just to have a look tactically how they can change. They haven't used the width as much as I thought they would do.
That's half time, and you can hear the Norwich crowd rise to acclaim their team. They lead the derby by a 1-0 thanks to a long-range free kick from Marcelino Nunez 5 minutes before half-time. It dipped and swerved away from Václav Hladký, who got a hand to it but could only push the ball onto the inside of a post and then onto the back of the net. It's been a game of few chances apart from that, but yet again Ipswich must come from behind to keep their Premier League dream on course. Half-time, it is Norwich City 1, Ipswich Town 0. Thank you, Faye. Ipswich are out first. There don't look to be any changes for them at the start of the second half, at least. Of course, Kieran McKenna has made a virtue of changing things around late in games and getting results, particularly in recent weeks. And Norwich are just making them wait at the start of the second half, but maybe the fact that Ipswich have been sent out early, Dean Ashton, may be an indication of what Kieran McKenna thought about that first half performance.
I would say so. I think you'd be disappointed that in terms of competitively they lost too many duels, especially the second part of that first half, which basically isn't really acceptable in a derby. That's where the minimum should be, is that you win your duels, you win your battles, and they were outfought in the end in that first half, because there wasn't a great deal of quality, and they want a lot more from these players in the second half, and he knows that they're capable of it.
Norwich scoring with their only shot on target during the first half, but overall they were the better team and can't really have too many complaints from an Ipswich point of view about the scoreline. They will get the second half underway in the blue and white. Norwich in the canary yellow and green, and Ipswich will be attacking the river end away to our right hand side in the second half. A reminder of the two teams again here on TalkSport 2. Norwich, Angus Gunn in goal, Jack Stacey, Shane Duffy, Ben Gibson and Sam McCallum the back four, Kenny McLean and Marcelino Nunez in midfield, with Gabriel Sara, Ashley Barnes and Borja Seitz behind Josh Sargent. Ipswich, Václav Hladký in goal, Axel Twanzebe, Luke Wolfenden, Cameron Burgess and Leif Davis, Massimo Luongo and Sam Morsey, Connor Chaplin, Omari Hutchinson and Kiefer Moore, with Nathan Broadhead playing down the left. And Ipswich just tidying up as Sargent looked to try and burst forward. Sam Morsey though wins it back on the halfway line, all the way back towards Hladký. And Ipswich have only failed to score in 4 of their last 55 games. So you would bank on them coming back into this game at some stage. But of course it's a local derby and the pressure is on for them. And while we have said, and people in the wider football world say, that if they don't go up, it's still been a great run having come back up from League One. Football's all about your opportunities, isn't it?
Yeah.
It may not come around again for a bit.
No, but the worst thing certainly the Norwich players and supporters could think is to write this Ipswich team off just because of a reasonably poor first half from them. I thought they would use the wide areas a bit more. Hutchinson and Broadhead barely got a touch really, and that's where the space is. Norwich is just flooding the middle of the pitch. They do not want Connor Chaplin on the ball.
And Chaplin there was looking for Hutchinson to go wide down the right, but it came in field, and as a result it became so congested. And of course, one thing that Norwich have held over Ipswich as well is that they have got promotion in back-to-back seasons under Paul Lambert from League One to the Premier League, and they won't want their biggest rivals to do the same. Manchester City and Southampton are the only other sides to have done that during the Premier League era, along with Watford as well. As Morsey comes forward now, but he's quickly closed down, and it springs into the path of Duffy. And Kiefer Moore has had barely any service so far. It's almost pointless having him on the field of play, the way that Ipswich try and play with him and the way they haven't given him the ball to do anything.
I'm surprised they've not utilised the left-hand side. Gabriel Sara is playing really tucked in on that side, so Stacey's there on his own. They need to start doubling up Broadhead and leave Davis on that left-hand side. Then that's when you can then get the delivery in towards Kiefer Moore and give him something to attack. That's what he's basically in the team for.
Luongo hooks it forward now, but his ball into the centre circle is headed forward by Gibson. Now Sargent almost found by Barnes on the edge of the penalty area for Norwich, attacking the Barclay end just in front of us in the second half, as Ipswich now will try and counter-attack with Tuanzebe on this near side. 27,001 is the crowd here today, and the away contingent is 2,001, as Norwich City win a free kick just inside their own half. A challenge by Luongo on Sara, and it's been a rather scrappy opening to the second period. 48 minutes played here on TalkSport 2, and Norwich still leading by a goal to nil.
Well, from a Norwich perspective, certainly it'll suit them being ahead, knowing that whenever they do lose the ball, they can just sit in, try and frustrate. They've got the pace on the counter-attack. They'll be asking Ipswich all the questions, and usually they have the answers.
And now Tuanzebe will shepherd the ball behind on this near side, under pressure from McCallum, and Ipswich will have a goal kick. You're listening to Norwich against Ipswich in the EFL Championship on TalkSport 2 with McDonald's. Order McDelivery on the McDonald's app and get tasty reward points. 18 plus, terms and conditions apply. Still 1-1 over on TalkSport in the Premier League between Palace and Manchester City, as the clearance from Cladke is straight onto the head of Sainz, but Ipswich will try and clear. Chaplin seemed to bowl over McLean, but the referee Matt Donoghue tries to play the advantage, and in the end Gibson goes all the way back to Gunn, defending the goal away to our right hand side.
I mean, I wonder how long Kieran McKenna will give it. He doesn't tend to wait too long. He knows he's got that quality. He'll have players that will be desperate to get on as well, especially with the impact they made on Monday.
Well, Al-Mohammadi has not started a game yet. 11 appearances, all from the bench, as Luongo is closed down midway inside the Norwich half, and it's back towards Gunn again, who clears long downfield. And then Stacey with a high ball forward for Norwich, headed away by Wolfenden. 5 minutes played in the second half. Norwich leading by a goal to nil in the East Anglian derby here on TalkSport 2. Sara has lost out to Broadhead on the far side, but he quickly recovers to make the challenge, and it will be a throw-in for Ipswich again. And they've not really got going as an attacking force throughout the entirety of the game.
But again, hark back to Monday against Southampton was exactly the same. You thought, doesn't really look like there's any life left in this team. They look maybe fatigued. Then out of nowhere, they're just suddenly able to create chances because of a change by the manager. So again, full concentration needed right the way through from a Norwich City perspective.
And they had to make a change in the first half in that game due to injury. Kiefer Moore was taken off and Nathan Broadhead came on, and no signs of any Ipswich players warming up at the moment. Kieran McKenna standing arms folded on the edge of his technical area, only 37 years of age. Had to retire as a youngster due to injury, having come through the academy at Tottenham and then worked as a coach at Manchester United. And he's won 73 of his 125 games in charge, which is a tremendous record, and it could yet involve 2 promotions in 2 full seasons. Morsey with a back pass, which could be a teaser for Kladky. Oh, he's played it back into the path of Sargent. Sargent tries to feed the ball in field to Nunez, and in the end, Ipswich will clear the ball away, but they look nervous here, and they're the team trailing.
Yeah, I mean, that was really difficult for Kladky. The ball back from Morsey, who was under pressure, not nice for the goalkeeper.
Now Barnes flicks on, looking for Sargent, but the American loses out to the Australian Burgess. Hutchinson wins it back for Ipswich on this near side, but again he runs into trouble, but then 2 Norwich players, Sainz and McCallum, collide with each other, and Ipswich have it back, and Chaplin plays a good ball wide to the left-hand side, and Davis. Broadhead is further forward, but it's infield towards Luango as Ipswich try and work the overlap and the overload down the left-hand side, but again there's no real pace to the way they are playing the ball around at the moment, and they're giving Norwich time to get back in position and just deal with the situations they're presented with. Davis now swings a high cross in, it's too deep for Moore or Chaplin, but it's gathered by Hutchinson now, down the right-hand side, back towards Twanzebe with the crossing, Kiefer Moore shaping for the header, good header away though by Duffy under pressure at the far post. Now Davis again.
Needed to be. It was a fantastic header. Kiefer Moore rose there, looked like he's going to win it. And Duffy throwing his head in where it might hurt. It's better from Ipswich, better quality, quicker passing from them. As soon as they do that, they've got the quality to especially get the ball wide where all that space is.
And they've overwhelmed teams at times at Portman Road, but it's a different story here at the home of their biggest rivals. Now Morsey drives it down the line, looking for Chaplin, who could do nothing with that, and it spins off his right foot straight out of play, and it will be a throw-in for Norwich by their own corner flag on this near side. 53 minutes played on TalkSport 2. Norwich 1, Ipswich 0 in the Championship. The big games coming up later on. Leeds at Coventry, Leicester at home to Birmingham, Southampton at Blackburn, and West Bromwich Albion away to Stoke. And you'll get details of all of those games on Game Day Live with Adrian Durham, all the goals as they go in over on TalkSport. Here on TalkSport 2, we will have commentary from the Premier League at Villa Park. Villa against Brentford with Perry Groves and Ian Danter. And then tomorrow, the Sunday session will keep you up to date with Sam Matterface on TalkSport with all of the action from a busy day here on TalkSport 2, live at Wembley, the EFL Trophy final between Peterborough and Wycombe, and at 6 o'clock on TalkSport, the rearranged Premier League game between Spurs and Forest. And the Premier League will take a back seat in midweek as the Champions League returns, and there are some big games coming up. We're live from the Emirates on Tuesday night for Arsenal against Bayern Munich with Adrian, Jim Proudfoot and Andy Townsend. On TalkSport 2, it is Real Madrid against Manchester City with Sam Matterface and Stuart Pearce. And there'll also be commentary on Paris Saint-Germain against Barcelona here on 2. On Wednesday night, Adrian Durham will go around the grounds and Dean will be alongside him. Where are you on Wednesday? Which game are you at?
I'm down the road. Ipswich.
Ipswich again. Well, I think the mood there will depend on what happens here in the next half hour or so. You get smuggled in under a blanket.
Absolutely.
A bit like Matt Holland when he comes here. Now, Nunez plays it forward again. His free kick dividing the two sides, but Chaplin does well to pick his pocket and find Broadhead, who heads away towards the left-hand side for Ipswich, then has to turn and find support, and it's wide again from Davis. Appeals for offside against Davis, and the assistant on this near side, Paul Hodkinson, agrees, and it will be a free kick for Norwich. And again, just that lack of incisiveness from Ipswich when they have the ball in attacking areas.
Yeah, I've got to say it's been one of Norwich's better defensive performances so far in this game. Naturally very focused, the players, but just in terms of flooding the middle of the pitch, been terrific so far. And Kieran McKenna's not going to leave it long because there hasn't been a massive change, has there, at the start of this second half, which is what he would have liked to have seen. The referee just bringing Kenny McLean over towards Angus Gunn just to say, look, I'm not going to have any of this time wasting.
McCallum with a high ball forward, looking for the ball, has signs the ball, hits him on the back, which gave him the opportunity to try and execute the lob over Gladkey. Didn't quite get it right, and it's gone beyond the near post for a goal kick.
Oh, he rushed it. He got so lucky with the ball hitting him on the back, because it just then cushioned into his path. But he just has to maybe let it bounce once and then play it over the top of the goalkeeper. Instead, he tried to do it first time, didn't get the right connection.
Hit the ball left-footed, surely.
Yeah, exactly. Let it drop, bounce, and then hit it with your left foot. Instead, he's stretching with the outside of his right and just didn't get the power on it.
But at the moment, Norwich's 15-year spell of preeminence over Ipswich will be extended, leading by a goal to nil. There was so much anticipation before the game at Portman Road back in December, when Norwich were labouring in the lower reaches of the table and Ipswich were flying high at the top. But Norwich, maybe in many ways, had one of their turning points in the season that day, to come from behind initially, then lead before eventually drawing 2-2. McCallum now plays it down the line for Sides. Morsey though with a strong challenge. There will be changes for Ipswich very soon. Harry Clark will be coming on, another Ipswich-born player, although he came back to his hometown club via the Arsenal Academy. And that will be the first of their changes, and it may not be the first one at this stage as well. Sarmiento, Monday night's heroes, coming on as well. 58 minutes played here on TalkSport 2. Norwich 1, Ipswich 0. Still 1-1 at Selhurst Park in the Premier League between Palace and Manchester City over on TalkSport, as McCallum has been caught here by Morsey. Morsey, a player who's been booked 13 times this season, but no yellow card there.
You won't get a yellow card today for any of those challenges, that's for sure. It doesn't matter if it's a counter-attack today. Clearly, from the referee, he's letting everything go.
A gentleman in a Norwich City shirt with Grandad across the shoulders and the number 60 on it gets up to gesticulate towards the referee as they take the free kick. Now Nunez down the line, but it's won back by Tuanzebe, headed forward by Hutchinson. And you would imagine Hutchinson could be vulnerable to the change here as Morsey tries to knee it back towards his cover. It's given away. Barnes into the path of Sargent. Morsey with the challenge right on the edge of the penalty area, and the referee says no free kick. But here is Stacey. Stacey fires it low. It's saved by Gladkey, and it seemed there that Morsey took out Sargent right on the edge of the area, but the referee waved away the appeals.
Well, at first glance, it has to be a free kick. Again, it's sloppy play. First of all, from Morsey to give the ball away. Brilliant from Barnes to set Sargent away, whose first touch is poor. And actually, I think Sargent is trying to win this, because Sargent just steps across and he actually initiates the contact. I've been there in that position where you take that poor touch as a striker, and he's tried to save it by thinking, I'll just step right across Morsey, who doesn't actually make a challenge. It's a very, very good decision from the referee.
But again, it's one of those that we've seen given.
But it's the right decision.
It's the right decision,
because Sargent is the one that initiates the contact by overstepping into Morsey rather than Morsey making a challenge.
Rico Lewis has given Manchester City the lead at Crystal Palace. They lead 2-1 over on TalkSport. Axel Tuanzebe will come off here to be replaced by Harry Clark. Tuanzebe on a yellow card, of course.
Well, and also Clark just gives them a little bit extra going forward.
And it's Nathan Broadhead who comes off, and Jeremy Sarmiento comes on to replace him. And it will be a drop ball after all of that. And you can hear the boos from the home supporters. And that came from Morsey trying to knee the ball back towards his goalkeeper.
They've been sloppy at times in this game, Ipswich, uncharacteristically.
61 minutes played, 1-0 Norwich lead. Moore heads a long ball forward, but McCallum will just nod it back towards Angus Gunn. He just plays a bit of interplay with Kiefer Moore by pretending to grab the ball and then eventually picking the ball up to waste 1 or 2 seconds, but he's already been put on notice by the referee that he's watching the time wasting here. Wolfenden at the other end, back towards Hladky, and he's midway inside his own half, but he's got time, and he plays it wide to the far side, and Burgess. But Ipswich here continuing to find it very difficult to either get in behind or create. But here is Hutchinson on this near side. Clark is further forward down the right, but it's back in field towards the shaven-headed Wolfenden, and then all the way back towards Hladky, and Wolfenden just throws up an arm as if to say there is nothing going on further forward.
No, look, Norwich are defending properly. They're in a really, really good shape.
Now Luongo, though, wins it back for Ipswich in the midfield, finding Sarmiento. He gets it back again from Davis, whips in the cross, looking for Moore with the header, and he was fighting for possession there inside the area with Gibson, managed to get something on it, but it loops harmlessly into the arms of Angus Gunn.
Yeah, again, decent delivery from Sarmiento, but Duffy and Gibson they'll fancy themselves physically against Kiefer Moore, and hasn't yet been able to get a free header yet, Moore. But better play from Ipswich, and Leif Davis, a slight change as was on Monday, is as they make those substitutions, then Leif Davis just becomes a left winger pretty much.
Morsey over the top for Moore, who nods down for Hutchinson, who tries to go beyond the challenge of McCallum, but he just put the shoulder in and out-muscled him, and Norwich have it back. And here is Sainz. A reminder, if it stays like this as Gunn controls the back pass and clears long downfield, effectively Leeds will be a point behind Ipswich with a game in hand at Coventry this afternoon. Leicester would have 2 games in hand, and they'd be 2 points behind, and they're at home to Birmingham today. Ipswich cannot afford to lose this game.
I think when you're up there at the moment,
well, no one can they?
That's how it feels. It feels like if you lose a game, that could be it. I don't think it is. I think we're going to go right till the final day.
Now it's played forward for Davis down the left-hand side. He hits the byline. Low cross in, though, is cleared away at the near post by Duffy. But Ipswich will come forward again with the Ecuadorian, Sarmiento, on loan from Brighton. Davis again slipped in towards the edge of the penalty area, but it's simple for Duffy just to side foot the ball long downfield. But Norwich here are just beginning to invite a bit more pressure. The ball's not sticking with Sargent or Barnes.
No, they're just starting to build, aren't they, Ipswich? Build that pressure, do things quickly.
Morsey coming forward now into Kiefer Moore. Moore does well to hold the ball up, but he turns away to the left, and there is space and time here for Davis. Davis with the delivery, but it's headed away by McCallum at the far post. Wolfenden will look to out-jump Sargent, and he does so. Now Clark infield again towards Burgess, wide towards Clark on this near side. Chaplin says don't give it to me, so it's further wide to Hutchinson, and now Clark again. 65 minutes played. Norwich leading by a goal to 0, but Ipswich enjoying their best spell of the game in terms of possession inside the Norwich half.
Well, Sarmiento's just drifting, and it's leaving that space for Davis on that left-hand side, and their interplay's been good so far.
Sarmiento on towards Davis, the cross in, Chaplin stooping in for the header at the near post, but it's cleared away. But it's won back by Luongo, square towards Clark, and now Hutchinson, right-hand side of the penalty area. Hutchinson comes in field, goes for the left-footed shot, but it's a comfortable save for Gunn.
But it's the first he's had to make for Ipswich. First time they've tested Angus Gunn in the Norwich goal. Really good play, a good run off the ball as well from Kiefer Moore, just to open up the space to allow Hutchinson to come onto his left foot. And, a daisy cutter in the end. Wasn't going to be difficult for the Norwich goalkeeper, but it's better from Ipswich since the substitutions.
Now Sargent is away from the challenge of Wolfenden. And a good challenge from Burgess. Had to make that inside the penalty area. If he'd mistimed it, it would have been a penalty and possibly a red card.
I mean, look, it's a great challenge now, but that was risky. Very, very risky to make that challenge, go lunging in.
But with the state of the game,
they're going to take risks.
Take a risk, haven't you? 67 minutes played. Time is against Ipswich here. A goal down in a match they really have to win. There's a mistake by McCallum, and here is Moore now, but he allows the ball to run behind, and it will be a corner kick for Ipswich.
Yeah, Norwich have got to somehow try and get hold of the ball, keep a bit of possession. At least they did that in the first half to see some of the time out. At the moment they're just whacking it forward. They're hoping for something to fall for them on the counter-attack, and Ipswich are building.
Corner kick on this near side, which Davis will take, so it will be an in-swinger with the left foot at the midpoint of the second half here on TalkSport 2, and it's still 1-0 to Norwich. Davis with the corner, looking for Clark at the near post, and it goes behind, and a goal kick's being given. And it was the sort of delivery from Davis which didn't really give Clark the opportunity to get anything on target.
No, I think they were looking for that near post corner just to then be flicked on towards the back where there was 4 blue shirts. But again, as we know with Ipswich this season, just because of the scoreline and it may be looking difficult doesn't mean they can't produce those moments.
68 minutes played, and it's still Norwich 1, Ipswich 0 here on TalkSport 2, and you can sense the tension now around the crowd here at Carrow Road. Erling Haaland has put Manchester City 3-1 up over on TalkSport at Selhurst Park, so they've come from behind seemingly to win that game and keep the pressure on the other two, and that's what Ipswich need to do here. Borja Sainz, well, he's put McLean into a difficult position, but Nunez was there to help him out, and he plays it all the way back to Angus Gunn. And there was so much noise and exuberance from the Norwich fans when they scored the goal and for much of the first half, but now there's a hum around the ground, but no more than that buzz, because everybody knows the importance. But now Norwich fans find their voices as Sainz has won the ball back, finding Sargent with the low shot. It's fumbled inside the penalty area by Hladky, but in the end it's hammered away on the far side by Wolfenden for a throw into Norwich.
And that's where their moments are, Norwich, is when they win the ball back and feed it in towards Sargent. He's been a threat all game, just drives to the right of Burgess, poor strike in the end. Gone to hit it with his laces, hit the top of the ball, it takes all the power and bounces it into Hladky's hands.
Now Sara looking to provide the twinkle toes on the far side. It almost breaks to Barnes inside the penalty area, but it's hammered away by Luongo up towards the halfway line. Gibson returns it back. Sarmiento losing out in the air to Barnes, but the ball breaks kindly for Ipswich, and they could break here. Morsey in the centre circle beyond the challenge of Nunez, plays it wide to Sarmiento down the left hand side. Sarmiento challenged well though by Stacey coming in from behind, but he won the ball cleanly.
Terrific challenge, because that was a moment for Ipswich. They needed to take advantage. What a ball that is.
And here is Sargent now on his way, left hand side of the penalty area, no real support. Sargent comes in field, there he leaves it for Borja Sainz, but the shot was deflected over the top. Great challenge again, this time by Clark. Terrific break from Norwich.
Gabriel Sara with a fantastic crossfield pass towards Sargent, who takes it straight into his stride. Lovely little cut back onto his right foot, sees the run from Sainz behind him, little back heel towards him. I think if he's clever here, he knows Clark's gone to ground, take it past Clark, then have your strike. He rushed the strike and up and over it went.
Triple change incoming for Ipswich. Taylor, Al-Hamadi and Harness will all be coming on. And we have 19 minutes to play here. It's now 4-1 to Manchester City. Kevin De Bruyne with his second of the day over on TalkSport at Selhurst Park against Crystal Palace. They made him angry by scoring first. Here is Hutchinson now on this near side. We'll get team news from Villa Park shortly as Ipswich try and build here with Wolfenden in the centre circle. Good ball from him. wide to the left-hand side, and Davis with a low cross to find Chaplin on the edge of the penalty area. He goes down under the challenge of McLean. McLean though manages to scrape the ball away, but a lunging Morsey wins it back, and here is Sarmiento again, works the 1-2 with Luongo down the left-hand side, looks to go beyond Stacey. He comes in with a challenge, and it will be an Ipswich corner.
It doesn't look like he's going to make the substitution before the corner. He took off Connor Chaplin on Monday. I wonder if he's going to do the same here as well.
Well, Kiefer Moore's not really been involved, and there's it time for a change in emphasis in attack with Al-Hamadi and Taylor. Corner kick from Davis now. Moore and Burgess providing the height inside the penalty area. Wolfenden this time has retreated towards the halfway line. Ipswich trying everything for the equalising goal here. Davis with a low one in towards Chaplin, but he gets the half volley all wrong, and it's brought clear now by Stacey, all on his own down the centre. Now Sainz in support, but in the end recovering was Morsey, but Stacey continues all the way up towards the edge of the penalty area, and in the end he lost out.
He did well there, Morsey. He's quicker than you think, you know. Got a really good turn of pace, Sam Morsey, in there, and you needed that against Stacey. Stuck to it, didn't commit himself, did really well.
Now Sarmiento on the far side. We will get to Villa Park in a second, but Ipswich on the attack once again here with Wolfenden. Still a goal down against Norwich in the East Anglian derby. Now Luongo again, finding Sarmiento. Back towards Luongo, and Norwich here have got every single canary yellow shirt back behind the ball.
They're camped, well and truly.
Looking to hold on to this lead given to them by Marcelino Nunez just before half-time. Here is Davis now down the left, a low ball in towards Chaplin with a shot, and it's over the top, and that was a chance. We have 17 minutes to play here. Norwich still leading by a goal to nil. Coming up at 3 o'clock on TalkSport 2. Commentary from the Premier League. Villa against Brentford. Team news now from Ian Danter. Ipswich making their changes here, and it's Luongo, Moore and Chaplin who are replaced by the three players we were talking about, Taylor, Harless and Al-Hamadi.
Well, we've got a chance though if we just look back to that lovely ball in once again from Leif Davis. Gets down the left-hand side, cuts it right back for Connor Chaplin. It's a brilliant chance. It was his final act in this derby, and he just whipped it up and over the top. Just couldn't keep it down.
Ashley Barnes also coming off for Norwich. And interesting here, Liam Gibbs is coming on. Born in Suffolk, came through the academy at Ipswich, and then moved to Norwich, and he's coming on now in the East Anglian derby. Well, you go to Portman Road. Although you were born in Crewe.
Gabriel Sauer will go a bit further forward, I think, and play up and in behind Sargent, and Gibbs will just go onto that right-hand side where Leif Davis was getting more and more joy.
Norwich free kick for a challenge on Borja Sainz by Harry Clark on this near side, and we have less than 15 minutes to play here. Norwich 1, Ipswich 0 on TalkSport 2, and we will continue to follow the race for the Premier League next week. On Friday night we're at Plymouth against Leicester. That's a big game at both ends of the table, as will be Leeds against Blackburn, 12:30 on Saturday. Both those games live and exclusive to National Radio on TalkSport 2. Wolfenden plays it back towards Hladky, who tries again to find Wolfenden, and Sainz got something on that, but Wolfenden is able to clear the ball away. And Ipswich here really playing on the edge as Harness has lost out. Sargent's on the edge of the penalty area, but it's cleared. And here is Al-Hamadi. But a good covering challenge from Gibson, and it will be a throw into Ipswich on this near side.
Just wonder if they will regret some of these half chances Norwich have created from winning the ball back. There again, Sargent with a poor touch, allowing Burgess to make the challenge. They've had some good moments where really they should have created a good chance to score the second goal.
Now it's brought forward on the far side by Burgess for Ipswich. Into Taylor, the player has just come on, the former Peterborough player. He's been used off the bench on so many times this season, 6 starts and now 22 appearances as a sub. But Ipswich have had 23 goals from players off the bench this season, and they need one now with 13 minutes to play on TalkSport 2, trailing Norwich by a goal to nil. And have the thrills and spills of recent weeks finally caught up with them here? We'll have to wait and see. Hutchinson challenged by McCallum, and it's back towards this near side where Clark will maybe think about launching it forward, but it's short towards Morsey again. And if you're a Leeds fan heading to Coventry, a Leicester fan heading to the King Power, you'll be enjoying what you're hearing at the moment. But here is Taylor with the shot inside the penalty area, which is blocked by Gibson and spins away for a corner kick.
Yeah, just again, I'm amazed Norwich City are allowing this to happen, where they just play it down the line towards Leif Davis to then cross again. Jack Taylor with a swivelled shot that was blocked well, but Davis is their most dangerous player on that left-hand side.
Davis with the corner in towards the near post. It's flicked on, possibly by a Norwich head, towards this near side, where it's gathered by Morsey, all the way back towards Wolfenden again. He will launch it wide towards the left-hand side. It's nodded down inside the penalty area, but it's claimed easily by Gunn at the near post.
I'm not sure they're going to get much joy from that. Duffy's outstanding in the air. Gibson's very, very good also. Stacey's over 6 foot. Again, I think where they've had joy is getting it down the sides and whipping those crosses in.
McCallum now forward towards Poorhouse Sainz on the stretch. Wolfenden has lost out. Sada through towards Sainz again, but it's cut out by the covering Davis. Harness was bowled over there by McLean. Now it's a long ball played forward for Hutchinson. He may have been offside anyway, but it's gathered by Angus Gunn. 11 minutes to play.
They're going to keep getting chances, Norwich, on the break. They keep winning the ball back, and Ipswich are gambling with only leaving a couple of defenders back there.
Well, they've gambled on so many occasions this season, Ipswich, and it's come off for them.
Yeah.
But if you look at clear-cut chances, there haven't really been any, let's be honest, for Ipswich.
No, there hasn't. On a Chaplin, possibly you'd say that one that was cut back to him. With his ability and the season that he's had, you would have expected him to have at least tested good in the Norwich goal.
Now it's back towards Gunn again, wearing all pink, defending the Norwich goal at the river end away to our right-hand side. Grey skies overhead once again here as it's cut out by Taylor, and here is Sarmiento now finding Harness right-hand side of the penalty area, further wide to Hutchinson, who just delays the cross. He'll shuffle back in field and find Sarmiento on the turn. Left foot shot from him is high over the top.
Well, the turn was outstanding from Sarmiento, just the speed in which he swiveled away from McLean, but then the shot was pretty poor, wasn't it, from a player of his ability. He's got no pressure, he just stabs at it and it goes way over the top.
Well, the last time Ipswich won here, Norwich had just sold Dean Ashton. That's how long ago it was.
That is long ago.
And it doesn't look as though that run is going to come to an end here today. 9 minutes to play here on TalkSport 2. And the advantage could be handed to Leeds and Leicester, and you'll find out how they get on Game Day Live with Adrian Durham coming up on TalkSport at 2:30. We have Villa against Forest here from the Premier League on TalkSport 2. Leeds at Coventry, Leicester at home to Birmingham. And really, I think we can rule out Southampton now. They would need a miracle run between now and the end of the season, although they do still have to play Leeds and Leicester, so you never know. They're at Blackburn today. And West Brom also involved in a Midlands derby at Stoke. Now Harness losing out on this near side. Sainz looking to wriggle away from Harness, who just held him back momentarily, but here is McLean. McLean crumples under the challenge of Al-Hamidi, and it will be a free kick here for Norwich, close to the halfway line, and we have 8 minutes to play.
Again, it's about patience if you're Ipswich. you've got the confidence, I'm sure, to believe you're going to create the chances. It's then, can you take them? These are the perfect moments for Norwich to get free kicks, just to slow everything right down.
And this will be 8 successive home victories for Norwich. Their best run since November of 2003, when they went on to get promotion. Now Sargent finding Gibbs. Gibbs again finding Sara, but he's lost out. Sarmiento will spring clear now for Ipswich. Hurdles the challenges and plays it wide to Hutchinson down the right hand side. Sarmiento peels away to create the width on the right, but now Morsey looks to the left and then the right again. Here is Clark and Sarmiento. Hutchinson is in behind McCallum and he's onside this time, just about keeps the ball in play, but then can do no more than that. As Sykes plays the ball off Hutchinson, the ball spins behind and it's a goal kick and it's a missed opportunity for Ipswich.
Yeah, those moments you've got to be better from an Ipswich perspective, because you've got to maintain the pressure, build the pressure. The poor pass down the side, such a simple pass as well. Kept in, but then Sykes cleverly just knocks it off Hutchinson's shins for the goal kick, and more time can be wasted.
Long downfield from Gibson again. Sargent does well to rise and head the ball infield to pick out Gibbs. Back towards Sargent again. And now Nunez, he scored once, he's beyond the challenge of Taylor. He strikes again, but this time it's blocked by Wolfenden. And the ball on the stretch is played forward by McLean, and it's gone behind, and it will be a goal kick. And Ipswich here looking to hurry up with 6 minutes to play. Norwich leading by 1-0.
It's not been pretty at times from Norwich, I have to say. They've just whacked it clear when they've needed to. I think they've played.
They've not made any mistakes.
But they've played the fixture, I think, slightly better. They've been just aggressive to nullify and break up any of Ipswich's play, and then just whack it forward if they need to.
Morsey lofts it wide to Clark for Ipswich down the right hand side. Approaching the halfway line, Sarmiento holds and then makes the run in field, and now Al-Hamadi will chase into the penalty area, and he's got there, lobs the ball over Gunn, and it ricochets towards goal. Al-Hamadi keeps the ball alive, and in the end the flag is raised for offside, but that was a chance for Ali Al-Hamadi.
It was a great ball from Clark, just spun it in behind Gibson, who didn't read the flight of the ball. Al-Hamadi came out, thought he was just going to lift it over Gunn. Gunn came out like Spider-Man and just got his arms out.
5 minutes to play. Norwich 1, Ipswich 0 in the East Anglian derby here on TalkSport 2. If it stays like this, Ipswich could find themselves in third position once again today. And having won both of their games in slightly fortuitous circumstances at times over Easter, they've had no answers yet here today. But at the moment, I think they would take a point. And they've not really been good enough overall to warrant any more. Cragkey will gather on the edge of the penalty area. Bowls it out to Taylor. All the urgency coming from Ipswich now. Wide to Davis down the left-hand side. Harness in support for him. Sarmiento in acres of space on the right-hand side. McCallum has come in field again, and Ipswich will now look to this right-hand side with Clark. Al-Hamadi makes the run towards the right again, but it's swung wide to the left. Nodded in field by Davis to find Taylor. On towards Harness, but it's cut out again by Stacey, and Stacey with an extravagant leap forward. He was caught, but once again he made absolutely sure he got the free kick.
Yeah, he did. It's just not happened, has it, for Ipswich today, just in terms of that fluid nature of their attacks. Too often it's broken down. It'll be interesting to see if it stays like this, what the manager says. I'm pretty sure he'll be quite honest in terms of they haven't been at their best today, Ipswich, and I mean Norwich haven't, but they've defended very, very well and looks a threat on the break.
And another season would go by without a win against Norwich for Ipswich Town. Of course, they had to wait a long time for the rival to be renewed. But now we have 3 minutes to play here at Carrow Road. It would only be Ipswich's second defeat in 11 games, and they've won the other 9. But the margins are so tight at the top of the table. And they're at home to Watford on Wednesday night. Norwich are away to Sheffield Wednesday. That's a big game as well. Now Al-Hamadi finding Morsey. Sarmiento in space though, down the right hand side. It's slipped in low. Harness missed kicks. Can he recover? No, he can't. And Gibbs will clear the ball away.
That's twice now Ipswich players have had the chance to strike as it's come across and they've completely missed it. Connor Chaplin earlier, now it's Marcus Harness. Brilliant ball in, flat along the surface, penalty spot there to be swept home, and he completely misses it.
2 minutes to play. The Norwich crowd trying to will their team home, leading here by a 1-0. Ipswich pouring forward again, the low cross in towards Al-Hamadi. Cut out at the near post by Duffy. Now Morsey again, 30 yards out. Forward to Hutchinson, and now wide to the right-hand side again, and Sarmiento, who will take on McCallum. He's got Clark on the overlap, pulls it back, and it's cleared away by Borja Sainz at the near post. Clark will try and win the ball back, and Sainz is all over him. No free kick given. The referee spots it, but allows play to continue. Hutchinson with the cross in. It's nodded down as far as Harness, but the ball won't sit down for him inside the penalty area, and Stacey will hammer the ball clear.
And this is the sort of pressure that Ipswich needs to try and put onto Norwich, a constant flow of blue shirts. And again, if you give free kicks away like they have done there, it just saps that momentum.
We are ticking towards the 90th minute here on TalkSport 2. Monson Edouard has pulled the goal back for Crystal Palace. They now trail 4-2. Against Manchester City on TalkSport. Here on TalkSport 2, Norwich are heading for a famous victory considering where Ipswich are in the table. They're going to beat the leaders. They lost to Leicester on Monday, but they're on the verge of beating their oldest rivals again here. Taylor.
And they're a very, very different team here at Carrow Road. The difference is so huge.
Well, they've won 5 games out of the 20 away from home. Here is Taylor. And now Morsey poked forward to Al-Hamadi. And Al-Hamadi does well to spin away. He's got Clark in space to the left, but he checks back again to find Taylor. As we tick towards the end of 90 minutes here, we'll find out very soon from the 4th official, Jeff Eltringham, how much added time there will be. 5 added minutes. Sarmiento for Ipswich. On this near side, it's poked in towards Al-Hamadi on the edge of the penalty area. Now Clark again, finding Sarmiento, looking to hit the byline. Comes in field though, and Morsey. It's all very tight for Ipswich. There's no room in which to breathe inside that Norwich penalty area. So it's back to Wolfenden, 30 yards out. Wolfenden again, finding Clark. Sarmiento holding the width, put the cross in, bounces inside the penalty area. Al-Hamadi tries to turn. Now it's played wide by Burgess. Towards Clark again. Burgess maybe thought about the cross. But here is Taylor. And Ipswich here, taking patience to extremes in added time. Wolfenden slipped in towards Hutchinson, who wriggles away from a challenge inside the penalty area, but the shot blocked at the near post by Gibson. It will be a throw into Ipswich.
Just too many bodies. Norwich have got every single player other than Josh Sargent inside their own area. It's just hardly any space. You have to be pretty much foot perfect to get a clean strike away. Gibson with a really good challenge.
Here comes another one. Danny Bart will be coming on now to replace Borja Sainz. A player who's been used sparingly this season by Norwich, but does have experience of promotion with Wolves back in 2018. Throw in for Ipswich here. 90 seconds into 5 minutes of added time on TalkSport 2. The throw in is short towards the near post from Clark and headed away. Now Wolfenden goes all the way back to Hladky. Back towards Wolfenden again. Lofted forward in behind looking for Al-Hamadi. Gibson with the header clear. Now McCallum, and McCallum rather nervously just plays the ball straight out of play, but it will be a throw-in for Ipswich. Both managers right on the edge of the technical area here, trying to get the message across in the closing seconds. Wolfenden in towards Taylor. Now Morsey, right to this near side, and Sarmiento. Clark takes over on the edge of the penalty area. Sarmiento again. Ipswich can't deliver the crossing. Now they do from Clark, and Gunn comes to claim. And that's almost celebrated like a goal.
Yeah, they've tried to be patient, Ipswich, but again, with that delivery, you've got to be set, you've got to be right. You can't just swing that in. Not when they've got Duffy, Gibson and Gunn back there. The delivery's got to be better than that was from Clark.
Headed away now by Burgess. Nunez with a complete miss kick, but he looks like beating the match winner. But now Hutchinson forward towards El Hamady, who brings the ball down on the edge of the penalty area. Now, was he fouled by Gibson? Not according to the referee.
Well. I thought El Hamady had got ahead of Gibson. I thought he was just stronger. Was it just a tangle of legs? Was it an arm coming across? El Hamady, again, distraught he hasn't got the decision.
And we're into the final 90 seconds of added time here, as Wolfenden will allow the ball to bounce into the arms of Hladky. Now Morsey spins away from McLean. Can Ipswich create one final chance here? Clark down the line looking for Taylor, but Bart will get there first and clear the ball away, and Ipswich will only have a throw-in, and they're a long way from the Norwich goal here. Of course, there will still be twists and turns between now and the end of the season, but this could be a damaging day for Kieran McKenna's team. Sarmiento jumps into McCallum. That's a stupid foul to give away inside the penalty area with less than a minute of added time to play.
Yeah, he's got to know he's not going to win that. McCallum's outstanding in the air. Just let him head that down, try and pick up the seconds. But in the end, they just haven't been able to find those really good chances today, Ipswich. It's all been half chances and hopeful balls into the area. They just haven't quite been at their best.
This will also be a crucial victory for Norwich in their playoff quest as well. They'll be 7 points clear of Coventry, but they will have 2 games in hand as Sargent fouls Clark on this near side, and we have played the allotted 5 minutes. Ipswich have got to get the ball forward quickly here. And there was Sargent just trying to put off Hladky on this near side. Hammered forward again. Not it cleared by Bart on the far side. It will be a throw-in to Ipswich. And a Norwich fan picks the ball up and throws it further into the crowd, and that will guarantee more time. Thrown down the line, and the referee says the throw-in wasn't taken from the right place. Everyone thought it was the final whistle. And we are ticking towards 6 minutes of added time here. Ipswich have a throw-in. They've got to try and hurl it towards the edge of the box and see what happens here. It's in towards Wolfenden. It's headed away. It is all over. And yet again, East Anglia is canary yellow and green. Norwich beat Ipswich once again in the big local derby in the east of England, and this could have real repercussions for Ipswich in their quest to head back to the Premier League. A big win for Norwich as they look to close down a playoff place, but Ipswich will now look on and see what Leeds and Leicester do later today. But when it's really mattered, in the game that really matters, they have come up short. It is finished. Norwich City 1, Ipswich Town 0.